Crypto is crashing today, and there's a lot of fear around MicroStrategy, especially after the announcement that they might actually sell BTC. I'm coming back to these topics, but also a lot of other things. We're going to talk about a hack. I'm going to talk to you about Tether also. I'm going back to the whole controversy around USDT and the lack of collateral behind it. We're also going to talk about AI, about Chainlink ETF, and a whole bunch of other topics. Hello everyone, and welcome to Crypto Red, the channel for crypto news. Let's start with BTC price. BTC is down 7%, sitting at $85,000. Ethereum is doing even worse, $2,700, down almost 10%. BNB down 9%. So yeah, a global drop across the entire crypto market today. There's a lot of fear right now, a lot of volatility. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this today. And for me, the real topic is strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, the company that owns 3% of all the BTC on Earth. Yeah, they hold an insane amount of Bitcoin, and now they just made an announcement that may sound reassuring at first. Basically, they're saying that they now have a reserve of $1.4 billion, not BTC. It's a new reserve. The goal of this reserve is to pay interest and dividends on all the exotic financial products that they created to raise money. They created a bunch of products where you invest in strategy, you get something like 10% annual yield, and with the money that they raise through these products, they buy BTC. But the big question now was, how were they going to pay the interest, the dividend? Well, now it's clear. They're creating this reserve, this 1.4 billion reserve. The goal is having at least 12 months of dividends available, and ideally up to 24 months. Up to this point, everything sounds fine. To do that, they raised money. They diluted strategy shareholders by issuing new shares, and they used that money to build this cash reserve and pay the dividends. But the thing that really worried me was this slide. I saw it circulating, and I went to the official presentation with Michael Saylor talking over it. And look, they clearly say if the MNAV, meaning the MicroStrategy market cap value, is higher than the value of the Bitcoin they hold, well, it's like if the company trades above that threshold of Bitcoin they hold, they will issue new shares. So up to that point, nothing shocking. That's normal thing to do for all the different treasury companies. They all do this. But look, they say also, if strategy is trading at a discount, which means if the MNAV is below 1, then they clearly state that they will sell BTC. They will either sell Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin derivatives. They don't have yet Bitcoin derivatives, but they say that they will sell BTC. And honestly, it's really the first time I hear Michael Saylor saying this. I don't know if you realize this. Up until now, as far as I know, this has never been openly said. And several times in some older videos, I said, be careful, strategy might end up selling BTC, but honestly, I didn't think it would happen like this. I thought we'd need an activist investor to push for it. By the way, I'll talk about something similar right after this. But I thought an activist investor would need to come and force strategy to change its strategy. Here, they don't even need that. This is simply what MicroStrategy itself will do if the stock trades at the discounts, and there's a good chance we'll get to that discounts. So yeah, strategy is potentially preparing to sell BTC. I think they're getting investors ready for that. And to me, that's the real major announcement, not the 1.4 billion in cash that they now have. The real question is how they're going to keep that reserves going. How are they going to grow it to 24 months? And the answer is they sell BTC if the MNAV is below 1 and the stock trade at the discounts. By the way, just before the official publication, we even saw the president of strategy. I'm not talking about Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is no longer the CEO, he's the chairman or something else. What the CEO said is what the president said is that they will sell BTC as a last resort if they can't issue new shares on the markets. And when would they fail to issue new shares? Well, let's bring us to the slide when the MNAV drops below 1. So yes, the possibility is openly mentioned and shared. It was said in an interview by the president of MicroStrategy. It was also said in the communication to investors made by Michael Saylor himself. So we really have to expect this. And the real vicious cycle would be the MNAV keeps trading continuously below 1, and as a result, strategy keeps selling BTC, and that would be worrying for BTC because it would actually create continuous selling pressure on Bitcoin. Just like we had the continuous buying pressure previously from strategy buying BTC for years, they could now find themselves in a situation where they have to sell regularly. If the BTC price keeps rising, I don't think it will be too much of a problem. Investor will become optimistic again about strategy, but we're not safe from anything, honestly. We already seen these kinds of situation happen several times in the past. We're seeing more and more listed companies trading at a discount, some treasury companies, and my opinion is that strategy is heading to that direction. If I had to put a probability on strategy selling BTC, I'd say we're around 70% that it happens over the next 2 years. I don't know if there is a poly market bet on this, but it will be interesting to follow. What I initially expected, I told you is something like an activist investors, but no, this is not what's happening right now. But this is almost what we're seeing with CZ. You know CZ, the founder of Binance, who is no longer in charge, but should actually return to Binance, I believe, in the future. He's now running his own investment fund, YZ Labs. YZ Labs had invested in a company similar to MicroStrategy, but whose goal was to accumulate BNB. It used to be a vaping company. Now they renamed it to BNB Network. The goal of the company is to accumulate as much BNB as possible. They raised around $500 million. CZ Fund invested in this company, but they weren't majority shareholders. They weren't the ones steering the company. The president was independent. But now they said the BNB, they said that the BNB Network, the company, whose job is to accumulate BNB, mismanaged things. They didn't meet deadlines. They executed the BNB buying strategy poorly. They got distracted. And well, globally, the execution was bad. So they're simply trying to overturn the leadership of BNB Network and replace it with people chosen by YZ Labs. And this is exactly the scenario I had in mind for strategy if things went wrong and if strategy stayed traded at discount for too long. But now we're seeing that scenario happen, but much faster and much earlier than I thought, with these treasury-style companies, starting with BNB here. Of course, CZ's goal is absolutely not to sell BNB. His only goal is to take back control of the company and to make sure it becomes a success and benefit the BNB's price, which has exploded recently. Then, unfortunately, we had a hack on Yearn Finance. Yearn Finance is really an OG DeFi protocol. It's a very, very old one, very big one also. It's been around since at least 4 years. They had an issue, fortunately not on their vaults, which are the flagship product, but on secondary products. Yearn Finance is really known for their security. They even have their own security audit company. So yeah, they really take security seriously. But what happened here is that their YETH product, which is basically a token representing a basket of different yield sources around ETH, so a basket of liquid staking tokens, it got hacked. It was hacked. We're talking about $9 million hacked. The attacker managed to create out of thin air tokens that didn't even exist and was able to withdraw, basically steal $9 million. Fortunately, $2.4 million were clawed back from the hacker thanks to Dinero. The hacker had some tokens that were fortunately burned and then minted again, so the loss is only around $6.5 million. I don't know how things will go for people who were exposed to this token, but these things happen, and honestly, I'm still confident in Yearn Finance. It's still a solid project. The core vaults remain secure, and they were not affected. This was something else, a side product, the YETH token, but it's still a heavy blow for Yearn. Next, I wanted to go back to the controversy around Tether. I already made a full video about this. The big issue is that the Standards & Poor's, the rating agency, published a report where they downgraded USDT to the lowest rating possible, Why? Because part of the collateral back in USDT, some 10 to 20 billion dollars, were not dollar-based assets. They had BTC, they had gold, they also had crypto backed loans. So that's why Standard & Poor's downgraded USDT, and honestly, I agreed with that. It doesn't make sense that when you want exposure purely to dollars, you end up being exposed to gold and BTC. But now the president of Tether is saying this is nonsense. Look at our last attestation. We had clearly stated, and some of it is true, because in the announcement of the attestation, they had announced that if you take the global holding equity behind the Tether holding company, or they say the Tether group, they claim they have an extra $30 billion. But here's the thing, this extra $30 billion they're talking about are not shown anywhere in the attestation reports. And even though it's not a full audit, it's still an attestation by an external auditor about Tether's reserve. So he's basically saying Standard & Poor's should have looked at our press release where we say without any proof that we have an extra $30 billion in the group. Honestly, I don't find that to be a good explanation at all. If there is an attestation, it's precisely to reassure investors. And I think having such a large chunk of assets that are not dollar-based is not appropriate. Circle does something really well. They hold billions of dollars in treasury bills and almost nothing else. Tether could have done the same and still made around $500 million per month. I don't know if you realize the greed. Tether could have made billions of dollars in profit without any risk, but they choose to take a lot of risk. And you know what? What's the limit? Is it 10% in BTC and gold? 20% in BTC and gold? Half in BTC and gold? What if they decide to go to half? It would not be normal. So yeah, I already shared my opinion. I just wanted to react to this new statement from Tether on the topic. Then we have Telegram decentralized DePIN, their DePIN network, which is called Cocoon. It's built on the TON network, the open network, and actually users are rewarded in TON tokens, TON, which basically let them run GPUs and do computing for AI and all that in a fully decentralized way, and according to them in a really confidential way also. I haven't studied the actual level of security, but that's what Pavel Durov is saying on Telegram, and it's a good thing for Telegram, for the open network. It potentially creates a new use cases for the TON token, and it comes to compete with a lot of similar protocols that already exist. I think you know many of them. In the DePIN category, there's a lot of tokens. It's really a sector that's been buzzing a lot this past months, even this past years, but I think Telegram is actually pretty well positioned here, honestly. So yeah, it's a good thing that the network has launched. Now we're waiting to see whether it will be interesting for people to do this on this network instead of, I don't know, buying just directly GPUs or renting GPUs on the clouds. So, and finally, we should have the launch on Tuesday, so tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this video, of the first spot Chainlink ETF in the United States. It would be the grayscale fund that gets converted into an ETF. So that's highly anticipated, and it's great news for Chainlink. That's what I wanted to share with you today regarding the various crypto updates. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, don't hesitate to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Bye-bye.